So my name's Nat Walker-Laver and I'm one of the Student Success Coaches here at Coventry. I've worked in higher or further education for a few years now. I'm not going to give you a definite answer because it'll give my age away. But I've worked in different roles. So I'm obviously a success coach now, but I've also worked in university sport, I've worked in academia, I've worked in colleges, and I've worked in GP referral, so as an exercise physiologist, so a health perspective. I've also worked in student unions, so I've sat on both sides of the fence when it's the university and the student union. So describe what you do without using the words success or coach. Yeah, I'll see what you're doing. All right, then let's give it a go. So I'm here to help students identify opportunities whereby they want to achieve their goals. Their goals can be varied, so it could be academic goals, it could be employment related goals, it could be well-being related goals, or social. So whilst everyone comes to university to get a qualification, it's important to us that students that do come have the best possible experience, and that involves identifying any opportunities from any of those categories I may have mentioned. Often students will come to us with a variety of different needs, different wants, and what we're here for is to facilitate those conversations, to give them the headspace, just to sit away from the noise of life, come and sit down, speak to somebody independent, which some students find easier rather than going to an academic or going to a parent or a best friend. And we just talk things through, and from that we'll then create a plan, which is an action plan of how they're going to get from wherever they are now, in terms of those elements of life, to where they want to be. What support do we offer students? We offer an element of emotional support whilst not being health and well-being. We're very clear on the boundaries with that. We offer them an opportunity to sit in a 45-minute appointment, or whether it be a drop-in session and come and speak to us for 10 minutes. The whole premise of it all is that we are here wherever we may be on campus on a given day, or available online or telephone for students to come and talk about what they want to talk about. We offer the support straight from enrolment all the way through to when they graduate, and they can meet with us as frequently or as infrequently as they like. What are the main issues students come to you with? Well, I've mentioned a couple in a previous question, my previous answer to the question. Time management. Yeah, we all like putting those things like boring stuff off that we don't necessarily enjoy as much as the things that we do enjoy. So it could be time management due to that. It could be, a student's got a really busy life and actually they've got a lot of things to juggle. So it could be time management mixed with a heavy element of prioritisation. It could be that they've got so much going on, they just don't even know how they fit it in day to day. These things have a lot to answer for. In terms of procrastination, we're all guilty of it, me included. So we talk about that quite a lot. So concentration, motivation, procrastination and time management, which are all very linked together. In terms of other big things we discuss are around mental health and well-being and neurodiversity, and the impact that some of those challenges can have on students, both in university and or outside of university. So we will have that conversation again, and depending on how specialised or the severity of those things are, we will then refer them to our partner services who do an amazing job both at the university and in a student union in terms of providing that specialist support, whether it is health and well-being, whether it's financial support, whether it's for the international students. So we kind of co-collaborate with a number of other services in the university and student union to ensure that students feel properly supported, which brings me on to probably the last main issue, which is academia itself. So that could be study skills. Some people struggle how to write an essay. Some people struggle and absolutely hate public speaking. So those presentation moments, they're just like a quiver in the boots at the thought of it. But with that, we have students that are very ambitious and they want to set themselves a high target of getting a specific grade to then move on to further study or for a particular job they've seen. But for others, it's supporting them through difficult times. So if they're applying for an extension or deferral because life has got in the way, and they need to have that extra time to complete the studies, we often support students through that process. So how and when would I meet my success coach? So I'm allowed to say success and coach in this question. Okay then. You would meet your student success coach initially, hopefully, within the first couple of days of you starting your course. As I mentioned earlier, coaches are allocated to students and students can stay with that coach for the duration of their study, right up until graduation day. You can meet us on a one-to-one basis, as I said, as frequently or as infrequently as you like. You can meet via Teams, telephone, or face-to-face. Again, it's all directed by the student. You can meet us once a week, you can meet us once a fortnight, once a month, once a semester. Again, it's all dependent on what the coachee wants. Some students need that regular contact because they find it helpful. Other students who perhaps have got fewer things to juggle, let's say, or longer goals. So it's going to take longer for them to achieve them. Do what's best for you in terms of where you meet, how we meet, how frequently we meet, and what you want to talk about. Well, as with everybody, you got to admit it's the money, isn't it? But more importantly, joking apart, is working with students. I mentioned earlier that I've spent a good considerable amount of time since I graduated in my career in working in further education or higher education. And the reason for that is because I love working with students. So, joking apart with the money side of stuff, that is what I love most about a job. Just seeing somebody go from having no confidence, as an example, to having an abundance of it, sometimes too confident. They've gone one extreme to the other, very introverted and then very, okay, right, running for Parliament now, are you? Calm down. But yeah, genuinely, there's no better, my best times of the day are when I'm having my coaching sessions with my students, getting to know what's going on for them. Whilst students can all be on the same course, they've all got very different individual circumstances. They're all different individuals in themselves, have different backgrounds, and it's great just to learn more and more about that and then how I can help them. And for me, the satisfaction of knowing that I've perhaps made a difference is my most highest motivator for this role. For one of my most memorable moments is when I was working with a student who had an abundance of challenges, which meant that they had to temporarily withdraw from university. They then came back to university but had all that additional work to catch up on. At the time, they were experiencing very low confidence. Their mental health wasn't in the greatest of places. They were in that space where you feel like you're a bit on a merry-go-round, you can never get off. We switched from going face-to-face meetings because they didn't live in England. So we then carried on that journey over Teams. And again, every session was very emotionally charged. It was fun working with a student. I always look forward to meeting with them. But to answer the question after waffling a little bit, the memorable bit of it was when they flew over to graduate, and they emailed me a few days before to ask me if I would be on campus. And I said, yes, I will be. And they then said, oh, because it's my graduation day today and I'd really like to see you, being as it's been so many months just having teams, and for everything that they'd said I'd done for them in terms of supporting them. And I met them on graduation day, and I met their family as well, who were very aware of me and how I'd supported their child. So I think it was just a bit of an emotional moment, thinking back to the journey that student had gone on. The student thought a lot of me as well, I think, in terms of recognising, you know, potentially with us never meeting, that day a moment would never have happened. If you could be a family member to your students, which family member would you choose to be and why? Well, I can rule out grand aunt or grandmother because I'm definitely not old enough to be either of those. So I'm going to go with, based on my own experiences with my family relatives, I'm going to go for a cousin. Reason being, this particular cousin that springs to mind, and vice versa. We've got a very close relationship. We have a laugh. We're there for each other if, you know, as and when needed. We enjoy each other's company, and we're just always there. And I guess that's a nice way to kind of describe my relationships with students that I coach. I like the idea of them knowing, and I get this fed back quite a bit, that they know that I'm here for them whenever they need me.